What's the Rock of the Gods you keep mentioning? Don't you know it's right here in front of us?
Missile! Wait a minute, you said, say, G-O-D-S, but don't you mean D-O-G-S?
I made that joke. Of course not, don't be silly, there's no time for ridiculous word games. You are standing just above the Rock of the Gods now. Take a look. Rock of the Gods, Temsic Park.
The Rock of the Gods?
The rock is buried in the ground right there. It's been there these 10 years. Ever since that day it flew down from the heavens, it showed us a miracle. Miracle?
So this rock you've been talking about, is it a meteorite?
Precisely. It dropped from the sky on that day 10 years ago. Yes, of course. Surely you know all about it.
Me?
That day I just happened to be passing through the park. No idea that it would change my destiny. The sun was going down, and through the gloom I heard the scream of a little girl.
Eek!
Just calm down and drop the weapon. Stay back, you come any closer. I'll shoot her. I peeked out fruitfully from the bushes and saw some shadowy figures. I didn't see the face of the criminal clearly. I knew I should do something to help but couldn't move. The tension was so thick it was painful, just when I couldn't stand it any longer. It happened. The sky burned bluish white. When it crashed into the ground, the meteorite gave a shower of beautiful fragments. And then I saw it. One of those fragments pierced into the criminal's back. The judgment of the gods was brought down that day. "10 years ago, the little girl was you saved by the Rock of the Gods.
I can't believe it.
The Rock of the Gods was given the name Temsic, and still today, it lies sleeping deep within the park's earth.
I never knew about this Temsic. I always thought Detective Zhao was the one who saved me.
You were very young then, and you passed out from the shock of being taken hostage. Of course you wouldn't remember." That's funny. Huge incidents like this would have caused quite a stir. Strange you never heard of it.
It is, isn't it? But now you think about it, I remember I didn't want to think about what happened. I avoided the news. I never came back to this park again. That's why I didn't know anything about it.
The meteorite was named Temsic after the name of this park that it fell in. Whoops, my bad. Everything went white. Fix it! And then the Rock of the Gods was forgotten. On the bright side, my thing's charging now. Now an awful thing is happening. They're talking about turning the park into a housing site. I'll never forget the miracle I witnessed that day. So I've taken up residence in the park and I'm trying to appeal to the people. Protect the park, the Rock of the Gods. It's my mission.
I see. I'm taking you with me, Missile.
So 10 years ago, the little girl was Lynn. She wasn't aware of the meteorite. Get that, but Detective Jowd, There's no way he didn't know about it. If he knew, and the man died, I took his life. What was that confession about? The rocks of the gods that fell from the sky 10 years ago changed the destinies of many people's lives, like ripples on a pond when a pebble's dropped in. With every answer I get, I learn a new mystery. Will I be able to break the chain of mysteries before dawn? Anyway, now that we have the evidence we need, we decide to meet up again at the minister's office. Besides, there are a few things I want to ask Jowdy Jowd McJowderson the Third, Esquire. I need to know things. Shit gets confusing after a while. Whatever, things are becoming more clear.
We found the music box, Detective Jowd.
Good job, Lynn. I knew you could. Once everything's been resolved, I wanted to give this to him.
Him, you mean Cabanella?
I don't suppose he'll ever forgive me.
Jowd.
Now then, let's get this thing open. There's a certain knack to it, you know. See? He calls that a knack? It's more like brute strength. Ugh. I think I popped a blood vessel. Here, have a gun. You should find a scorch marks on the grip.
Scorch marks?
When Camila built her contraption, she used a special kind of string. It's the kind magicians use. Burns up in an instant and disappears.
Why would Camila use something like that?
I don't know, maybe because she's a detective's daughter. Not leaving any evidence behind and all that. Oh, funny. In the case report, there were mentions of some scorch marks. When it happened, Camila was watching from her hiding place. She saw the flame run to the gun, something she naturally didn't include in her design. I took the gun out of the frame and replaced it with a picture. If you remove the picture, you should find scorch marks behind the frame. Those marks could match up with the ones on the gun.
In other words,
it proves the contraption existed there in that room that day. And that it didn't work the way your little girl intended, is that right? Exactly, some cowardly culprit modified it. But that angle was never brought up in court. So as Justice Minister, I must call off the execution at this point.
I knew I was right. It was Detective Jowd. Now we can finally prove that. Thank goodness.
Thank you, Lynn. In those eyes of yours, I see the eyes of that little girl 10 years ago. What's the matter? I just don't know. What should I have done 5 years ago? Back then, nobody had any way of knowing the true nature of the Manipulator. It wasn't anybody's fault that we didn't know the truth. Do you really think so?
Of course! Besides, what's important right now is deciding what to do next, right?
She's right, Mr. Minister. Yes, of course, I do believe she is. What is it now? I just don't know. What should I do next?
You'll figure it out. We believe in you.
So, what else? Hello? Sissel, if you hadn't come to my cell tonight, I would have been gone without ever knowing any of this. This is what I deserve. That's what I told myself for 5 years. Things are different now. Thanks to you, my eyes have finally been opened. Tonight, I've come into contact with a lot of people's lives and gotten involved in a lot of people's fates. And the only reason I was doing it was to regain my own lost memory. But things are different now. We're connected to each other somehow, and I know it. I know it for a fact, and that's why I need to ask you some more questions, in order to find out the truth about us. Fair enough, fire away.
Sissel told me all about it, Detective Jowd. About the Manipulator.
Yes, and it looks like the Manipulator really did a number on the Minister, too. Ah! Please don't pick on the Minister. If he dies again, I'm gonna have to be the one to save him. Ugh.
Sissel, do you think that's what happened to me, too?
What are you talking about, Lynn? Don't tell me. You were manipulated, too! There's already
part of me that just couldn't believe it.
the image of... I'm sorry.
Don't use my voice!
It's hard when they just fucking put the thing on the bottom. I just couldn't believe it. The image of the one who shot me. The possibility that the Manipulator was there. The Manipulator killed me! You know, now it's personal. The Manipulator killed me! You know, we have something in common.
Who is it, and why did they do it? That contraption was a birthday surprise from Camilla's mother, wasn't it?
That's right.
Something's been bothering me about it. I feel like I know that device from somewhere.
No surprise there. You lost your life once tonight because of the machine.
Right, I knew it. See, Detective Jowd?
No, I'm afraid I don't see. I told Detective Jowd about the Rube Goldberg episode. About seeing the exact same contraption, you know, blah blah blah. Usual. Just another day at the office. That's very strange indeed. A junkyard on the edge of town? I've never even heard of the place. What's more, I've never told a single soul about the contraption.
You haven't?
The odd pigeon guy. Who is he? Detective Jowd, you must have heard the name before. Temzik. The meteorite that fell in the park 10 years ago? So you found out about that. I hear the meteorite saved Lynn's life. That's right. I couldn't do anything to help Lynn that day. But in that case, I don't get it. If it's true, doesn't it mean you didn't steal someone's life away?
What are you talking about?
Detective Jowd, you told me 10 years ago the person you killed, the perpetrator in the park, was you.
But it was the meteorite!
I wasn't lying. I stole that man's life away, no question about it. It was entirely my fault. I was just about to shoot him. I would have shot him in the next instant if the meteorite hadn't come. At that point, I was already a murderer.
That's just semantics! You were trying to save me.
I'm sorry, Lynn, but I don't think that's really it. On that day 10 years ago, a different incident happened in another place.
Another place?
Yes, in the police headquarters interrogation room. The worst sort of incident. The suspect who was being questioned escaped.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
I happened to be there in the detective division, so I joined the chase. Fortunately, or I guess unfortunately, I was able to track him down in the park. Hold it right there! I fired a warning shot. I tried to catch him bad. That warning shot made him panic. At that time, I was young and green, detective, brandishing my sense of justice like a sword. I made him panic and got you involved, Lynn. It was all my fault.
Detective Jowd.
All I could see was my target. I couldn't even see you. I'm so sorry.
So the man who grabbed me and died that day.
These last 10 years, I've never forgotten his face. And then a few years after that, when my wife Alma died in such a mysterious way, I thought it was fate. My punishment for what I'd done. I painted pictures of my cells, nothing but portraits of people's faces. All the faces of many people I'd met in my life and didn't want to forget. And tonight, I finished my last portrait. The final face I wanted to remember. The final face. The face of the man in the park that day. Wait, what? That painting's of me, though! See, look at me, I got the shades and everything. It was my face! Are you telling me I was the man in the park? Are you telling me I'm a villain? That's right, the face of yours is the face I saw 10 years ago. The face of the man whose life I stole, of the man who was pronounced dead at the scene.
But hold on, Jode! That can't be true. I just met Sissel for the first time tonight! And he died in front of me!
By the way, the name that I know the man in the park that day isn't Sissel. What? From the first minute I lays eyes on you tonight, I've been wondering, who in the world is this guy? Fuck! The phone! Mr. Minister, Inspector Cabanela, where are you? Just be quiet and listen. This is our demand. What? Demand? Our demand hasn't changed. The execution must be tonight. Once we've confirmed it's been carried out, we'll release the hostage. You're talking about Inspector Cabanela, and you know it wasn't my daughter who was abducted. Does it really matter who the hostage is? A life's a life, even if it's the daughter of a death row prisoner. Once the criminal gets the punishment he deserves, the hostage will go free. Carry out the execution immediately and wait for our call.
What is it, Mr. Minister? You look paler than ever.
So if Cabanela's true colors finally show true. What in the world? What is going on? Inspector Cabanela! The rock of the gods that fell from the sky 10 years ago twisted the fates of many people and started a chain of tragic events. And even now the chain continues to grow even longer. Inspector Cabanel's call proved that to us. And the greatest mystery is all is risen to the surface. Who is this me I've been chasing all night? Who am I? I'm further from knowing than when I started. With that, we're going to continue with Chapter 15. It's almost 3 a.m. We're running out of time. 10 years ago, a man named Sissel took a little girl named Lynn hostage and then was killed by a meteorite fragment. Tonight, a man named Sissel met a detective named Lynn in a junkyard on the edge of town and was killed by a bullet. But the scene I find waiting for me on the other end of the phone line feels like the final nail in the coffin of my lost memory. Oh no. I see myself. There you are, Commander Sith. Finally. Sissel, where have you been, my good man? We've been looking everywhere for you. Had a little unfinished business to take care of. Didn't think it would take too long. What about your people? They sure went out of their way to mess me up. I say, I believe we fulfilled every one of your conditions in our little deal. What right do you have to complain about anything outside our bargain? We can talk about that when we get together. This will be our last communication by telephone. We'll arrive in 1 hour. I look forward to seeing you, Sissel. Dawn is approaching. The darkness surrounding my own mystery is deep, but I know it's always darkest before dawn. Yes, we're nearing the final stages of our little deal, my good man. Yes, sir. All preparations are complete, sir. And we just had a report, sir. Lights have been spotted, sir. Have they now? By all means, let's have a look. Yes, we're very close. We'll now disconnect from the communication table and have no service until we arrive, sir. Very well. What the? I will have some grapes. They seem very convenient. I mean, who would actually think we're in some type of regal building when we're really in a submarine? Nice try, Inspector Cabanella. But you could never stop me. See ya, sucker. Holy crap. Hey, do you think you could wake up for me? Oh boy, still unconscious. I guess he hasn't been dead for very long. I'll just go ahead and go back. Once the criminal gets the punishment he deserves, the hostage will go free. Carry out the execution immediately and wait for our call. That's a good boy. Gee, a hostage sure is a handy thing. Gives me complete control over the top police inspector in the country. What's the matter? All those broken bones smart a bit. What's it feel like to feel pain? Does it make you feel alive? Why are you doing this? Now, is that any kind of question for a top inspector to ask? Isn't it obvious? Revenge, of course. Revenge on all the people who stole my life 10 years ago. Don't be ridiculous. It was a meteorite that stole your life, or have you forgotten that? Wrong! I was murdered by all of you! Detective Zhao, who chased me down and forced me into a corner, even though I was innocent. Lynn, that girl, was right there when I was running. Lynn, she's just an innocent little girl playing in a park. If that brat hadn't been there, I wouldn't have thought of taking a hostage. That's the most self-centered garbage I've ever heard. And finally, you, Inspector Cabanella. Me. If you hadn't done what you did, I never would have pointed a gun at that kid. You were so proud of your spotless record. And my case was just one blot on it, wasn't it? Only two people know the real truth, me and Jowd. I bet tonight's execution will be quite a relief for you, won't it? One of the people you know who know about the stain on your record will disappear. You'll be perfect. That's why you didn't help him escape from prison. That's the kind of guy you are! I got nothing to say to you, you'd never listen anyway. Take this! You gods. Now then, Inspector. Time to make a big red stain on your spotless white coat. Ugh. That was another condition of my deal. To wipe out everyone who knew about Temzik. Revenge! That's what I'm up to? None of this makes any sense! Hey man, tell me what's going on. Inspector Cabanela is awake. My head's is spinning, baby. Am I to understand that Cabanela character who got shot is me? That's right. And you're supposed to be the scoundrel there who shot me? Guess so. But you couldn't be, could you? Huh? After all, the guy in the red suit just walked out, so who are you? Guess I have to face it. I'm not that Sissel guy. I'm just someone who's searching for myself, and that's why I'm here to save you. At the very least, you have information about that guy in red, information I need. So you came on a rescue mission now, did you? Nothing like the sound of that, baby! Because there's a very important life here somewhere. A life valuable to this nation. Okay, so do your thing, baby. Alright, I've got to have some sort of plan. Look at him. There's that something emanating from his body. Same thing was emanating from the meteorite. Well, I'll have to try and do something. What? It's blue! I've never seen this ghost world like this. So you're here, aren't you? I've noticed you. You think you can stop me? I don't know why you're wearing my face, but you might as well give up now. I control everything! Everything, including the life of this police inspector in white. Wait, don't shoot! The other me knows about the powers of the dead well. Who wouldn't notice what you did? You were practically shot, and look at me, baby! Looks like it might be hard to save you under these circumstances. Guess I can't use my powers right in front of him. Guess I better rewind the clock. We're gonna save Inspector Cabanela in the next episode. A lot's happened, and we found out our main character isn't exactly what we thought. Things are gonna start changing, guys. I'll see you guys next time. We're in the final stretch of Ghost Trick. See you guys next time. Why am I evil?